Greetings everybody. Welcome to part 2 of the video Painting in an Intuitive Piece, Neutral and Contrasting Colours. You might remember that last time I gave myself 15 minutes to really just lay down the paint, lay down a few marks and just get the process going. And what you have in this picture is a little bit further on than that, because what I did was just added a few more charcoal marks and also used a fixing spray to fix that charcoal in place so it wouldn't smudge. Now, I had some good feedback from the last video. Someone suggested that I needed to beware that this didn't just suffer from the syndrome called fade to mud, which is what can happen if you just overwork a piece and blend and mix the colours and it just becomes this sort of dull background. And certainly I've had that happen to me before. I think I've got a way of avoiding that this time around, so certainly I'll take that on board. The other one was that there was a suggestion I should actually speed the video up and do voiceover so that people didn't lose interest. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. It was at this stage that I started to think about what is the feel of this painting, and it's normally a sort of practice of mine, a habit if you like, perhaps you might say an addiction, to make a face or a creature or a figure out of these shapes. It's a concept called pareidolia, if I pronounce that correctly, you know, where you see faces in clouds or trees and so on. And immediately I started to see an eye shape centrally in this piece, and also possibly an ear or two at the side. And I thought, well, it'd be easy to go down that road, but I wanted to break away from that. So I thought a bit differently, and I flipped it over actually, and I came across the feel that maybe this is a bit like the sun's surface, the chaotic nature of the sun with its flares and roiling surface and its hot flow anomalies, and it brings up ideas about perhaps the Greek god Helios or the Egyptian god Horus. And it was once I started to think along these lines that a title started to form itself, and one which struck me was from a song by Ronnie James Dio. It's called Shame on the Sun. It's actually called Shame on the Night, but the line from it is shame on the sun for the light you sold. I haven't a clue what Ronnie meant in those lyrics. Like a lot of his poetry, he tends to write in ways that help you interpret his song however way you want. But I thought it was suitably mysterious and held my attention. So I had that song going through the back of my mind as I thought about this, and decided to proceed. So what follows is a sped up version. I'm going to put some background music on in places. I'll narrate through some key moments as to what I'm doing, and I'll see you at the end of it. So in this first part here, I'm using two different sizes of colour shaper, and the colours I've got there are titanium white, a bit of Payne's grey, Mars black. The creamy one's a parchment colour, and the bottom one there is burnt umber. And while the paint is still a bit wet here, I've got this scratching tool. I just sort of put a bit of sgraffito in, just to make it interesting, and then it was back to the application of colour here with a smaller colour shaper. All the while here I'm trying to lighten up the colours a bit, so applying more titanium white. Trying to work in circular motions here. My tendency is to want to work in a linear fashion a lot of the time, so I'm deliberately forcing my hand, trying to create this sense of a swirling chaos outside of the right hand side. So knocking back the colours a bit with the cloth there, and then working away a little bit more on the edges. Now this next bit's a bit interesting. I've laid out on here some acrylic skins, some of which are just scrape-offs from my used palette, like this one here, and also this one. And then to the right of that, these swirling parts, they're nicked from my son's pouring paint projects. I quite like these because they gave the impression of sunspots, if you like, almost a bit lava-like. Tried to tailor these a little bit to the existing shapes, and here's one that I'm applying. It's going to create the feel of those solar flares that come out from the sun that we've seen on the enhanced satellite images, the videos that we can see when we watch these science and technology programs. So this is quite fun. Create some new textures, and it's also a quick way of adding new colour and patterns to an existing piece. I didn't record using the hairdryer, but you saw a little bit of it intruding there. What I'm doing here is trying to just blend in a little bit those acrylic skins that I've just put on. I like to use the fingers a lot for this purpose. It gets quite messy, but I love it. Adding a bit of black here as well. All the while just being conscious of not wanting to darken it and muddy it up too much. Moving on now to do a bit of mark making. This is one of my favourite mark making tools, which is quite simply an old dishcloth. Applying a bit of Payne's grey here, just love the patterns that this produces. And it's the same one that I've used many times. Now I'm going to work on the right hand side a bit more, applying some fluorescent orange, I think this was. It's relatively transparent paint, so it's just going to really tint what's already on there. But it's a useful way of blending in some existing shapes I've got there, particularly around these acrylic skins. I'm just going to let the music run a bit over this, because I'm really just working a lot with the brush, using different shades of red and yellow, so I thought I'd just speed this bit up a little bit more. You can see where I'm applying things. The little gaps you can see in me painting are really just where I'm doing a lot of thinking. Time for a bit of definition now, so I've taken a large Posca marker. Just going over some of the charcoal marks I made a fair while ago and working around the shapes that are on there. Switching over to the smaller black Posca marker, making some of these shapes stand out a little more. Now here, making use of another of my favourite mark making tricks. This is just a blending sponge, but you can see I've got the two contrasting colours of yellow and black, and what I do is just plonk this sponge on top of them and then just do a little bit of twisting, produce these lovely sort of moon shapes. Now doing a bit of splattering here and there with a toothbrush and some white acrylic ink. I'm coming to the end of the piece now. What I'll show you after this is finished is what it looks like once I've peeled off the tape from some different orientations, plus some close-ups as well. Hope you enjoyed that. Do give the video a thumbs up if you liked what you saw, and subscribe as well. Bye bye for now.